using Powtoon.
Hi, it's Jason Troy Medium. Welcome to another episode of Ask Jason. The last one we left off with the energetic components of how we are able to clear some of our chakras, clear some of the energy centers. So I'm just going to get into some more details with the energetic components that we're interacting on a daily basis. Okay, so on a daily basis we're constantly interacting with energy. So let's just take the body itself. So we'll place a little bit of a person here, and then we have another person here. Okay, so let's just say, okay, we've got this energetic aura. All of us have this aura. Now the aura, you know, sometimes people will say your aura is yellow, or your aura is purple, or your aura is different colors. I believe that the aura is oscillating at all these different colors at different times, almost like a mood ring. I don't know if you know, back in the day there was these mood rings that would actually change colors and so on. Now, what I left off last time was, let's just say you had a trauma back when you were a kid. Now, we all have a lot of things that we hold within the frequency. Even when you go see a psychic or a medium, a lot of times, not every psychic is a medium, and not every medium can be psychic, because there's different abilities and so on. And if you're a psychic and medium, means that you're more developed. But when you're reading, a lot of times they're reading the aura, they're reading the energy within the aura. So that's why they're able to pick up certain things, such as a trauma when you were a kid, or stuff that's going on with your dad. So that's over here, and then stuff that's going on with mom's down here, or stuff that was with a bad breakup, or stuff to do with money, or stuff to do with that. So they're just reading the energetic centers, or they're reading the aura. So, and that's where they're picking up that information. Now, what tends to happen is that we do have these little, to me they're called hitchhikers. They're frequencies that are around us that actually operate at the lower base. So what they're doing is at the first base chakra, what they're hooking into is that the best way for them to attach to you is through the trauma that hasn't been cleared. So these little guys, let's just call them the archonic energy. Okay, so a lot of us will have this sludge on us based on how much clearing we do. I can tell you this, I get hit and bombarded all the time. I'm not completely cleared. I'm always checking myself. Sometimes I'll be in a bad mood, and basically I've worked on somebody, or I've done some energy work with them, and I've actually picked up some of their sludge, or they've left it in my office, so I have to be able to clear that frequency away. Now, if I didn't do most of my work, I could tell you this, that even when you get drawn to a psychic, or you get drawn to a healer, or somebody that does any energy healing and so on, that frequency is a match. So a lot of times they're oscillating at the same energy level as you, so they may even have trauma that they didn't clear. So you're always learning and experiencing and getting exactly, when you're interacting with somebody else, they're getting something from you and you're getting something from them. So it's really good to protect yourself, if you are a light worker or a healer, that nothing comes from you to them and nothing from them to you, so that you do not transfer any of these frequencies, because these hitchhikers love to play. So they're hooked into here, and then they're hooked into here. So what they're looking for is mind share. Okay, so the mind share is basically, when we talked about this in the last episode, is basically they're pushing off the positive and negative pole. So I can tell you this, even if you are the highest spiritual evolved person that you think you are, I can tell you, if you're still in the dimension, you still got work to do. So the worst ego of them all is the spiritual ego, and I can tell you, back in the day, I got caught up in that as well. And the spiritual ego, even though if it's on the positive side, if you feel that it's on the positive side, there is stuff that you need. There's probably levels and layers that you need to do, because these guys love the spiritual ego, because it's almost as if, even with the new age stuff that's coming out now, and it's like the pinnacle of the next step, or the spirituality. But I can tell you, at the highest level of the real you, the true you, is not spiritual at all. It actually just is. And on this dimension, we place labels on what is right, wrong, good, or bad. And at the highest level, it doesn't know what is right, wrong, good, or bad. It just knows what is. So it's actually operating on a frequency. So the positive and negative is an actual frequency. So these lower guys, they love to play. So what they'll do is they're looking for mind share. So it's all this, do this, what about this, let's go to this place, let's go to that place, let's sit and just at this guru's feet, and we'll just stay there. And what they like to do is just create cycles and patterns, so that you do not keep progressing or moving into the next stage of your development. So I can tell you this, when you're sitting with somebody or with a teacher, I even say to my students is that, what I'm giving you today is going to change, and it actually changes for me constantly. My truth today is different from my truth from yesterday. So when you're looking at information, what I've concluded here, this is a concept. This isn't a belief. What I can see is that I'm seeing patterns when I'm working with people, and I'm seeing distortions. So when I'm working with somebody, sometimes I'll see a distortion, which is basically a gray area, and I'll see it at the lower base. A lot of stuff is stuck in the knees, the joints below the first chakra. And that's why a lot of people get hip problems, knee problems, and so on. There's a really good book out there called Heal Your Life. You can heal. I believe it's by Louise Hay. I'm not sure if I'm saying the title properly, but a lot of the times these ailments that we have in our physical bodies is attributed to the energetic body, and it's trying to come through. So it's really good to do your energetic maintenance, energetic hygiene. Okay, so almost like I said before, a spiritual warrior, constantly checking in daily, on a daily basis. You will check into your energetic body, and my mantra daily is basically, I just get into a little bit of a meditative state. I only do it for 2 minutes, and I basically say, what do I need to see today? And that's it. And everything within my experience will start to mirror back to me what I need to work on. And I can tell you, some days it's stuff I don't even want to look at, and they will actually work with you. They say, okay, right now, for some reason with me, I'm on about an 8 to 10 day cycle. So if I'm not ready to work and I'm just a little bit tired of doing this type of thing, they'll actually just say, okay, we'll push it around, but we're coming around back in 8 days. So just be ready, because it's going to show up again. So you can either do this stuff now or you can do it later, but at the end of the day, you're doing it. So it's either this lifetime or next lifetime. You choose. So if you're gravitating, or you're starting to, I guess, resonate with this information, it means that you're ready. If you're resonating to even look at my YouTube channel, or even connect with me, it means that you're ready to move through and start to clear some of this stuff, because it's the law of attraction. You're attracted to this frequency because that's the frequency that I'm pushing out there. So doing your clearing, and basically when you start to do your clearing, let's say there's like four items on this side, there's a couple on this side that you got to do, and it's just basically trying to balance so that you can stay into that 0 point. You're trying to stay in the gap. You're trying to be in that neutral space. Now neutral, and I don't want to get a misconception here, it's not being passive and just sitting on the couch going, well, whatever's going to happen is going to happen, and I'm exactly where I need to be. Yes, but you have to take part and action within your ascension process. You have to play the game. You need to play. That's why you're here. You're not here to sit here and watch TV, be zoned out on your iPad or your iPhone, and just to be pulled in to the entertainment. It's almost like a circus or a zoo. Everything is placed in front of you in order to distract you from doing the work. This is the work. This is actually in a lot of teachings. If you go through a lot of the spiritualist texts and so on, this is doing the work to identify the areas that you're stuck, or that you're being played with. They like to play with us, and I can tell you this energy is you. These are aspects of you at a lower state, because you have been the angel and you have been the demon. You have been the positive person and you have been the negative person. So even though if you're playing the negative card or you're playing the positive card now, there's a flip-flop or a balancing act that needs to take place. And once this ascension actually starts to, when there is that completion within the frequency, it is going to be a choice that people are going to be starting to take to be on that negative pole. That's going to be a choice. Right now, there's so much energy that's hitting the planet. You can do some research on this if it's the first time you've seen this video, but I've talked about the X-wave and so on. Now, there's a space weather scientist out there that is tracking that frequency. So that frequency is coming in, and it's forcing these things out of the aura, because it is no longer able to oscillate. Now, when I talk about oscillation and frequency and so on, the planet itself right now is supposed to be oscillating. This is shamanic resonance, is about 7.83 megahertz. So we actually, our bodies are supposed to oscillate at about the exact same megahertz, so 7.83 megahertz. Now what's happening with all the Wi-Fi, the cell phones and so on, they've done a measurement, and now it's up to about 13 to 14 megahertz, which is placing the body into an agitation, because you can just notice there's a lot of people out there that are getting agitated, they fire off, they're more reactive instead of proactive, they're not watching or observing. So when you're in a reactive mode, you're more on the agitation side on one of these two poles. When you're in a proactive mode, you're either on a positive side or you're in the gap, because you're observing it from a higher vantage point. So to get into a higher vantage point, you don't want to be hanging out in these lower chakras. You want to be in the higher chakras, especially when somebody sits in front of me, when I get into my meditative state and so on, and I start to do a session with them, even if I'm doing it over the phone or by email, I'm able to connect on that higher vantage point, because the character that you're playing, there. To me, this is a concept, and this is information. I'm not saying this is exactly what's happening, but because we are in the third dimension, I believe that there's only a third percentage of our actual soul frequency within this body, mind, meat suit. And the other higher part of us, that's why a lot of the crystal kids and the soul, rainbow kids and so on, a lot of them are being diagnosed with ADHD and so on. But they're actually, their frequency is oscillating, so it's trying to condense into this container, and it just can't hold the frequency because the frequency is so high. And that's what the Ascension is about, is that it's trying to bring that higher frequency into this lower frequency. And I basically say that it's the master energy coming into the slave energy. So this slave body, this body, mind, meat suit that's running around with its head cut off, trying to chase after the almighty dollar. It's got things to do. It's always about me, 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 me. So when you get away from the me, me, me energy and get into the we energy, which is when you're accepting, you're more into the heart, then you're able to move through and clear this pretty quick. Now, I've had some experiences where it took me a long time for this. Now, it's what I'm noticing is a lot of people are clearing very, very quickly. There's weeks where I'm busy constantly back to back because there's an energy wave that's forcing that to happen. So it's not the work that I'm doing. I'm just a pointer. So I'm just pointing you to say this is what because I've gone through some of this stuff that it's like I'm trying to give you the answers to the test. It's like I'm a guy in university saying, look, it's very hard for me to take you from kindergarten to university within a 10-minute type of segment on YouTube, that you have to do your own work. So do the research. Don't take what I'm saying to you as the ultimate truth, because like I said before, there is no truth here. There's pieces of it, and this is a concept that I have that you can do some research, that these guys do exist, and when you get into those higher states, you will see them. And a lot of people are getting freaked out because they are seeing past the veil. They are seeing shadow people. They're seeing the ETs. They're starting to see different frequencies that they're not there. They're having dreams. A lot of this frequency will actually manipulate the dreamscape. So if you're having out-of-body experiences, a lot of flying dreams, that's an out-of-body OBE type of an experience. When you really get down to the what's really happening here, you can really go down the rabbit hole, and that's not what this segment's about. But what I'm trying to point you to here is this, is that you have a positive frequency and a negative frequency. And that is actually oscillating within your frequency, and we are trying to move through these two poles because we are in duality. Okay, so that's what this is. This is the yes, no, right, wrong, good or bad, right? So that frequency is still here, and we're going to go beyond that into the higher oscillations of, and it's just basically getting into the we energy, okay? And you're noticing a lot of this stuff too, and a lot of the demonstrations, a lot of the Greenpeace movements, and so on. They're actually, I even see some marketing about this where they're talking about the we. I think there's a we concert or a we gathering, which is exactly what is the consciousness is moving towards. So when you start to see more of that mirroring back to you, then you know that you're in that synchronicity and you're in line. You're starting to, and at the end of the day, don't beat yourself up over it. It's going to happen. So you can either, like I said before, you can either ride this wave, or it's going to bombard you like a tsunami. It's going to hit you and knock you over and push this stuff out of your system. In order for you to maintain a certain frequency, because there's a reason why you're incarnated at this time. So I'm going to stop with this, and we're going to probably do another episode within the next couple of weeks. But I thank you again for listening to me for another episode.
using Powtoon.